In April and May of 1987, Jon Deak and I went to the Himalayas. An expedition of two. We were both 43, old, members of the vaunted Juilliard Mountain Club. I kept a journal, including my dreams at night and my dreams and fears in daylight, my loves and hopes, as well as everything that happened. I've only done this on rare occasions, but this was the adventure of my life. Our goal was the east peak of the mountain, 24,000 feet, waiting for a second ascent and a first American ascent. As far as I know, it is still waiting. Its name, Chamlang. Changba, our Sherpa, met us at the airport and helped us get all our gear to the Tibet guest house. The next day we met with Pertemba, the head of Nepal Himal, the expedition company that our friend Andy Harvard had used on his Everest expeditions. We were only two climbers, and Changba was really a cook who had always wanted a chance to be head Sherpa. He was also our cook. Pertemba shocked us by saying we needed $3,000 more for everything we would need, including porters, a liaison officer, and insurance. Culture shock. We normally carried our own gear and just headed into the mountains, even on Denali. Here's Jon saying, "Do we really need this?" On my fifth day in Nepal, my ear plugged up. I did an hour running up and down the stairs to try to unplug it. That night, the pain grew to an unbearable level, and finally the eardrum burst. Azelle was staying with us, 3 to the room, and she rubbed my head all night. Wonderful. The ear bothered me for weeks. We managed to come up with the money. Corinne, a friend of Andy's, advanced us the money by taking Jon's check. After a week in Kathmandu, we leave on a rented bus. Azelle cried, but gave us bags with crystals to guarantee safe return. It was a whole bus filled with pots and pans. The 5 of us, Puri the kitchen boy, Ram the liaison officer, and me and Jon and Changba with 2 months' worth of food. It takes nearly 24 hours, and we travel straight through the night, stopping only to eat. Finally, we reached Hile, which is where the trail begins. The next morning, Changba recruited 15 porters with 16 loads. That meant that 2 of the porters would carry a load and a half, around 60 pounds. From left to right, it's Puri, the kitchen boy, Changba's assistant. Then 7 of the porters, then John, then Changba, then me, and Ram, our liaison officer.
बस्यो झल्किने तुनामा छकी माया मुटुको कुनामा दाइको बोलीमा नपत्याउने कुरा छ मुखरम पागलीमा छोरा छ माया बस्यो झल्किने तुनामा छकी माया मुटुको कुनामा दाइको बोलीमा नपत्याउने कुरा छ मुखरम पागलीमा छोरा छ
The porters carried and cooked their own food. We leave the Arun behind, cross a pass, and find a much smaller river. We jump in, and all the porters follow. What a scene! We spent 11 days walking over hills, through villages, experiencing Nepal, the children, the people, the farming. The greeting to everyone we met, "Kahan jane?" Where are you going? And they often stared at our chests, at the Hindi script we had had stitched onto our Chamlang t-shirts. It wasn't Nepali, but they would sound it out phonetically. Juilliard Mountain Club. Then they'd stare at us. We would just laugh. In the pre-dawn, Changba would open the tent flap saying, "Chia sab? Tea, sir?" It was sweet tea with milk and sweet Maria biscuits. John tried to complain, but hey, it's a tradition, since Mallory and all them. And anyway, you couldn't dissuade Changba, so we enjoyed it. Then breakfast, eggs and pancakes mostly. Then the easy walking with a light pack through spectacular country. We'd stop for tea and bread at houses where they served it. Then when we camped, we'd have a big meal of dal bhat tarkari, rice with red lentil sauce and vegetables. At night before sleeping, I'd read a chapter of Lord of the Rings aloud. It seemed increasingly clear that we were in that story, that quest, and Chamlang was the mountain of doom, which, as we got closer and closer, made us think more and more about our mortality. Despite what people think, climbing, rock climbing, ice climbing, mountain climbing isn't dangerous, except in the Himalayas, because of the uncontrollable danger of avalanches, rockfall, weather, and the altitude. We were totally committed, but it still hovered there in our minds as we enjoyed the incredible beauty of the walking. The easy walking actually didn't last that long. The trail got narrower and the region less and less populated. And unlike in places like Colorado, where the trails are carefully constructed with long switchbacks, these trails just went straight up and over huge ridges and straight down into river valleys. Brutal, but fun and challenging. One of the things you read about in all expedition accounts is the porter strike. And we had our first one after the market town of Kadbari. Too fast, they said. Changba negotiated more days' pay, but for fewer days walked. We kept losing and replacing porters, and they struck 2 more times. But we were going faster than expected, and so we're still under budget. So I paid them. At dinner one night, a German girl wandered in by herself, Anna, traveling alone. She came with us for a few days, but in Noom at night, Ram, who had gotten incredibly drunk, climbed in the window of the schoolhouse where she was sleeping and grabbed her. She screamed, and he left, not remembering a thing the next day. Anna stayed with us till Sejua, really the last village, and Ram stayed drunk, celebrating New Year 2044. We left him there in Sejua, passed out in a doorway. Surprisingly, he caught up with us a few days later. He had some trouble in Sejua because apparently he was chasing the headman's wife. The last big hurdle before base camp was crossing the Shipton Col. Shipton was the first climber to cross it. I climbed his first ascent route on Mount Kenya, the West Ridge. What a guy. British. We had a borrowed tank of oxygen that Andy had left with his friend Mike, Corinne's husband. The reason was that the Shipton Pass is nearly 14,000 feet. And while base camp would be over 15,000, there was no retreat from the altitude without going over the pass. If one of us got pulmonary edema, the only cure is to retreat quickly below 10,000 feet or take oxygen immediately. Kurt Seville had gotten it with me on Aconcagua and survived. Another friend had died, not in a climb with me. So we were very concerned. The tank was one load. The high-altitude landscape we crossed during the last few days after passing the Shipton La was very different. They had this tarp up in about 20 minutes. We got quite a bit of snow. We asked Chamlang what Chamlang meant. Bird, maybe chicken. John's response was, "We didn't come halfway around the world to climb Chicken Mountain." Changba pointed out where the route to Makalu base camp went right. We went left. We dismissed the whining, complaining porters from Tashigaon and Noom, and then give presents to the 5 from Hile who have made the whole trip. It was a painful goodbye. They had become part of the team and were always willing to joke with me in Nepali. Changba and I had scouted up the narrow and treacherous shelf, which will eventually be our route to the glacier. The icefall is way below us to the left, and a 1,000-foot cliff rises above us to the right, with stuff coming off it. No water and dirty naramro, very bad. We go back to a spot around the corner. It will be our home for nearly 3 weeks. From my journal. We leave at 6:20 and get to the high point at 8 o'clock. Just as we get there, a huge avalanche comes over the waterfall. I'm very nervous. We run across, and rocks scramble up a laid-back face. I'm constantly thinking that an avalanche is going to come over. Then we go up a rib of snow and rock, darting from rock to rock. And finally, we see nieve penitentes and know that no avalanche has been there. We eat some lunch, and then go up a rock corner and across the scree to the glacier. Some trouble finding our way there, but finally we're on the left side, and I barrel up, come to some crevasses, and John falls in. So we decide to drop the stuff and go back, rather than rope up for the last distance. I'm getting a headache. It starts to snow. We get back to the rock pretty quickly and down to above the first snowfields. We can't see anything, and I refuse to go down the snow. Finally it clears, and I sprint the whole way to the big rock. By this time my head is splitting. Every step down is pain, and I'm cold, but don't want to stop and put clothes on. Only once or twice in my life have I had such a headache. I'm also nauseous. We get to camp, take dioxin and codeine, and after a couple of hours, I have some tea, and I sleep not too bad. After a day or so, we make another trip up to the dump and leave our loads. No headache this time, and it goes smoothly. We run one by one across the avalanche track. Periodically, the avalanches come off the 1,000-foot cliff above us like a waterfall and whoosh across the snowfield and then disappear onto the icefall below. My theory is that if an avalanche came off the cliff, we would see it and have time to run forward or back before it reached us. That was never tested, but one time after running to the big rock, I stepped out from behind it to congratulate John on making it, and a bowling ball-sized rock whistled past his head as we shook hands. We were never completely out of danger. Again, from my journal. We crossed the 2 avalanche tracks well, quickly and carefully. I got a shot of John running the last 2 feet. We went right up the first rock band and up the snowfield. Here the snow started and got thicker and thicker. By the time we got to the corner, it was bad. All the holes were covered. Squirming up the fat man's chimney was hard and a little scary. Then at the corner, I didn't want to do the straight up moves. I went to the right, got in trouble, came back. Stay en route. John did it and I followed. Wet, cold hands and slippery rock. Traversing to the mantle looked impossible. John suggested bivouacking. Finally, as we got colder and wetter, I took my pack off and oozed across. and we followed cairns to the snowfield. We set up the tent quickly and crawled in. Misery. The next day, we go up the glacier to the cache, take what we need, go up the frozen river, and find an alcove for Camp 1. At the top of the gully, we find hard climbing, snow-covered rock, and steep ice. On the ridge, a ferocious wind comes up, and there is no shelter anywhere. Planning to bivouac, we have no tent, just sleeping bags. We drop into a crevasse, where we spend the night. I have no idea how cold it is in there. We disagree about whether or not to leave our inner boots on in the sleeping bag. I do, Jon doesn't. Next morning we go out, it's already late, still blowing, and we're exhausted. So we decide to spend another night and get a pre-dawn start. After 2 nights in the crevasse, we go on up the ridge, get to a point where we can see that our route to the higher ridge will involve some serious mixed climbing, but a huge storm is coming rapidly towards us, and we have no choice but to descend to the corner camp. The next photo is a double exposure of the route across to the high ridge and the approaching purple cloud of storm. A mistake or a result of the extreme cold in the crevasse? The storm rages for 2 days, and we must go out and dig out the tent every few hours. Jon has some pain in his feet, probably frostbite. We start up again. We're hoping to get to our high point quickly. I feel a tug on the rope, and I look back to see that Jon has fallen face first in the snow. It's the second time. I descend to where he's lying. I can't make my body do it, he says. We're hugging and crying, and then descend in a blinding snowstorm. It's over. Chagma and Puri meet us at the edge of the snow. How did they know? Did they come here every day? Chamlang. We rest for a few days at base camp. Brahm leaves and takes Puri and Dawa, our last porter. Puri will bring back rice and potatoes from Sejua. I still have thoughts of going back up and trying for the summit. As the days pass, the pain in John's feet increases. It is nearly unbearable, the frostbite from the crevasse. I had no ill effects. From my journal. John and I talked, and Changba and I talked, and I thought and talked. We go round and round. Ultimately, John's feet are worse, and we are essentially giving up the mountain. But we'll try to go up to Corner Camp and bring the stuff back. This makes me sad, depressed, tired, superstitious, mad, and empty. But it is something we have to do. If we get high enough, maybe I'll go by myself. Or grab one of those Dutch guys over on Kachinjunga. But no. This trip was always about the two of us. I just want now to get it over with, but possibly enjoy it. Better shut off my mind and tread slowly and carefully with eyes and ears wide open tomorrow, and walk in harmony with the world around me and my friend John. This is a very, very large experience. Final crossing of the avalanche tracks. We did it 8 times. Doug Scott and Reinhold Messner, two of the world's greatest mountaineers who made the first and only ascent, refused to descend this way. We found some of their pitons. We have a decision to make. Send Puri to get porters in Tashigao, or carry everything ourselves. John can barely walk, so he's out. That leaves Puri, Changba, Dawa, our last porter, and me, all of us carrying double loads. We really don't want to wait, and I begin to see it as a kind of make-up thing, something to test myself, push my endurance to and or past my limit. It won't make up for not making the summit, but it will certainly distract me. So we pack up the camp. From my journal. On the rocks, Dawa slips as he goes past me. I can hardly lift his load. I fall too, but I'm able to get back up. Changma falls upside down and hurts himself. Finally, we get off and rest. The trip up here was horrendous, resting every 20 paces. So tired, so heavy, so steep. We drink pots of tea. I worry about whether or not I can make it. I want to be able to say, Kuli, base camp to Tashigaon. And I do make it. It's one of those days in my life where will won over, and I worked harder than my body would allow. In the morning, I felt great. Going up from Mumbak, the flowers were out, and I was moving well. We get to the first pass early, about 11:30. I put plastic bags on my feet because my shoes were letting in so much snow. Good jokes about that. Mukta China, Paisa China. Finally, we start up through the rhododendron forest where the bushes are half covered and I'm falling in up to my thighs. I'm falling in so much and slipping. I finally get Pooty to give me my boots. With no gaiters, they're filled with snow. But I was warm and the traction was possible. Every rise I thought was the pass. I couldn't believe how long and hard it was. Falling in and out, not being aerobic. Somehow, every time I needed to, I would put one foot forward. I know I'm doing something special. Finally, we get to the pass, and I post-hole run down the other side. It's the first mountain technique I've been able to use. Going up the other side is hell. We sit down every 3 minutes. We get to the pass. The last pass. I've done it. Then going down with shoulder sore, dehydrated legs throbbing. It takes forever. And after one good yodel and 2 little uphills that make me mad, I get caught up by Jon. We roll in or stumble in together. That night, a completely surreal thing happens. A yak man appears with sheep, goats, and cows heading for the pastures on the other side of the pass, near our base camp. He has with him his wife and 5 kids, 3 babies, a 5 and a 6-year-old, and none of them have shoes or long pants. Despite Changba telling them not to, they've gone on in the morning. In Tashigaon, we pick up some porters, and I give some of my load to them. It feels like I'm carrying nothing. Jon never complained about the pain in his feet. Chamlang, Chamlang, Chamlang.
दैलो मुनि चमेली फुल फुल्यो आउँदै जाँदै गरे नानी आँखैमा मन भुल्यो तिम्रो आँखैमा मन भुल्यो दैलो मुनि चमेली फुल फुल्यो आउँदै जाँदै गरे नानी आँखैमा मन भुल्यो तिम्रो आँखैमा मन भुल्यो रातमा निन्द्रा दिनमा भोक छैन आउँछौ भने कान्छी नानी कसैको रोग छैन हामी बाहेक तिमीले पाउने अरू केही थोक छैन दैलो मुनि चमेली फुल फुल्यो आउँदै जाँदै गरे नानी आँखैमा मन भुल्यो तिम्रो आँखैमा मन भुल्यो घुमी आइपुग्यौ काठमाडौँ सहरा पराई घर नजानलाई बसेको कोछरा तिमीलाई पनि हामी जस्तै उस्तै छ दैलो मुनि चमेली फुल फुल्यो आउँदै जाँदै गरे नानी आँखैमा मन भुल्यो तिम्रो आँखैमा मन भुल्यो दैलो मुनि चमेली फुल फुल्यो आउँदै जाँदै गरे नानी
Ram loves John. Mr. John, you come my house. No go hotel, you come my house. In Kadbari, something swirls up in me. It was on the radio that 2 American parties summited on Makalu. Meanwhile, Chamlang is dominating the horizon, mocking us, and it's just too much. Changba finds us a bar and we drink way too much rakshi, a grain alcohol, and have a crying in your beer conversation about all the things we did wrong, round and round. Should have gone on after one night in the crevasse. Should have found a more direct route going farther up the glacier. Should have kept boots on in the sleeping bag. Round and round. And then Changba and Puri taking us, supporting us to the tent. And me saying, it was because of Chichu to China. No summit. And Changba saying, I know. Chamlang. A bird outside the hotel. Sounds just like the opening to Allez, venez, Miller, vous s'asseoir à ma table. Il fait si froid dehors, ici c'est confortable. Again from my journal. The storm becomes electric. Amazing. I've never seen such violence. Hurricane-like. Wind, rain, thunder, lightning, and hailstones, which get bigger and bigger. Finally, ice cube size. I'd been dreaming of ice cubes for the tea earlier. We just watch, amazed, for an hour or so. Then it's possible to go back to the room. Climbers calculate the weight of their packs the way fishermen calculate the length of fish that get away, regularly claiming 100 and 125 pound packs. I doubt it. My pack was 88 pounds. I put everything back in it and waited at the airport. Chamlang.